The Voice. The Voice.
The Voice.
The Voice of Birmingham and the Black Country.
Lunch with Caroline Martin.
On BBC WM.
95.6.
Good afternoon, all. Now, how hard is it to rebuild the relationship between a parent and a child if there's been a big row, lack of communication or animosity between the two? Maybe you've been divorced and for whatever reason you've not spoken to your children for a long time. How would you feel about reaching out? If there is a lot of resentment in the relationship, is it then irreparable? Do come and talk to me about this afternoon. Now, the Coronation Street actor Michael Lavelle is trying to get in touch with his teenage children again. He's not spoken to them for 2 years since his divorce with their mum. But how hard do you think that is going to be for him? Give me a call. It's 08453 009956, and you can also text 81333, starting your text with WM. And also, as I said, I want to introduce you to the new craze that's sweeping the fashion world. It's Mama Spanks. They're a new type of underwear that pregnant women can wear to make them feel a bit thinner and a bit more body confident while they're with child. But is this all a step too far? Do we spend too much time worrying about what we look like and how our body looks when we're pregnant? Should we just embrace the bump and the fact that our bodies are going to get bigger?
Have your say.
Across the West Midlands, call 08453 009956.
BBC WM 95.6.
Now, have you ever had a rocky relationship with a parent or child? And if so, how did you overcome it? Now, the Coronation Street actor Michael Lavelle is trying to get in touch with his teenage children again. He's not actually spoken to them for 2 years since his divorce with their mum. But how hard do you think that it's going to be for him? Now, an eighth of Britain's divorced dads have no contact with their children. For whatever reason, they have no contact with them. Maybe it's by choice, or maybe it's because there was bitterness in the actual breakup. But give me a call if you've experienced this yourself. It's 08453 009956. I want to get a chat with Ray Barry from Wolverhampton, who's involved with Real Fathers for Justice and helps dads build bridges with families and their children. Hi, Ray.
Hello, Caroline. Hi there.
Good to talk to you this afternoon, Ray.
Yeah,
so
you too.
It must be hard when so much water has gone over under the bridge, and so much time has elapsed to make things okay again. Can it happen?
I mean, you're quite right. It can be incredibly hard to do that. I mean, when there has been a gap in time, as in Michael Lavelle's case of, I understand, a couple of years or more. There's a big breach there in the common memory which the two of them share, the child and the parent, and that can be a very difficult thing to restore from that, a normal parent-child relationship, because I mean what tends to bond us to our children is the shared memory from birth through childhood, school days, and that unbroken link carries on into adult life. And when there is a significant breach in that, any reunification after that always has the difficulty that it can be more like two adults, acquaintances bonding together, rather than a child and parent bonding together. It can be very difficult to restore that proper kind of relationship as being father to son or mother to son, etc.
It's a sad thing, though, isn't it, when you read that an eighth of Britain's divorced dads have no contact with their children? I mean, is that a lot to do with bitterness in divorce? Or, you hear of some fathers that leave, they go off with somebody else, they make a new life, and it's almost like the old one has been left behind.
Yes, one of the things that surprised me with this research was that from the figures that I've seen elsewhere, I would have expected it to be more than that. I mean, 1 in 4 was a figure that came out from an enormous Welsh study that was done in 2009. 1 in 4 children, not just of separated parents, but the whole cross-section of children in Wales, 1 in 4 didn't see their dads.
Goodness.
Now, it really is a frighteningly large problem that passes under the radar most of the time. But it is in many ways underpinning a lot of the breakdown in society, because it has a consequential effect for the very high rate of suicide among men, and criminality among young children. Something like 70% of youth crime is committed by children who are estranged from their fathers. It impinges kind of everywhere. In terms of the cause of this, it's always difficult to say, is this dads walking away from their responsibilities, or are they being squeezed out? And in a sense, it's true to say that every case is different. But there is a good body of evidence that large numbers of fathers who want to be involved in the lives of their children and who are in every way good dads are not allowed to do so. And there can't really be any proper reason for that. That's really what we ought to be addressing, is those dads who want to be involved and who are prevented from being involved. Let's break down whatever those barriers are that are preventing that involvement.
Are you speaking from experience here, Ray?
I am. I've got 3 children, and they're age 24, 22, and 20 now. I never see them. I haven't seen my eldest 2 for 13 years since separating from their mum, and it's not for lack of trying. And I've encountered the kind of barriers that I'm speaking of now. Court barriers, emotional barriers, because once this bond has been broken, I found this particularly a particular problem that one thinks, well, if you haven't seen your child for 6 months or 9 months and a court orders that you can see your child, then that'll make it all right. But it doesn't. Even a short break like that, it's very difficult to overcome that. I mean, the child may well be feeling that their dad has done something wrong. They themselves, the child, may feel that they are in some way responsible for either the breakdown in the relationship or the fact that they're not seeing their father, and there will be feelings of guilt about that. And those are the kind of emotional things that become the barrier to restoring that relationship. But yes, it's I don't see my children at all now. I'm resigned effectively to the fact that in all likelihood I'll never see them again. I don't think anybody could put into words the grief that causes to me, and I can only imagine it's causing some kind of equivalent damage to my 3 children as well. It has completely changed my life. 13 years ago, my life stopped, and it has. I've had a completely different kind of existence ever since. I mean, one can get over a marriage breakdown. You can move on. You can get another partner, etc. But I don't know how anybody can overcome losing their children. Especially when, unlike the death of a child, these are children who are carrying on with lives somewhere else, but they're lives that you as a parent are not allowed to be any part of. And that's an incredible grief for anybody to bear.
Do you spend days hoping, praying, Ray, that one day they'll come find you?
Oh, I'm forever hoping that. I woke up on Friday, I think it was, last Friday, and just decided I'd write another letter to one of my children. Just trying to find new ways of restoring that relationship. I didn't really expect any response because I never do get any response, but it feels important to keep trying so that they know some way that, whatever's happened, I'm still there for them, and I want to do anything that can be done to restore a relationship, even with all of the problems and weaknesses that relationship would always have because of the passage of time.
And was this caused by the breakdown of the marriage?
Yes, it was. It was. It'd be wrong for me to kind of criticise my wife when she's not here to answer. But my belief is that she poisoned their minds against me, and it was because of the resentment at the time of the breakup. She was angry with me, and she would have had whatever her reasons were for that. The children were an easy weapon to hand. It would hurt me not to see my children, and perhaps neither of us foresaw the lifelong implications of what happened on that occasion.
And looking back to that time, I mean, obviously, you're going through the heartache of not seeing your children and not knowing if you ever will again. I mean, does it make you ever think that you should have, or would you have done things differently?
I've often reflected on that, and I'm satisfied that there was nothing that I could have done differently that it would have made any significant difference to the outcome. There's always things that, I suppose any parent will look back and wish that they had done particular things differently, and I'm not thinking just about separated parents, but I think any parent will have regrets about certain things that they did in raising their children, and I'm no different in that respect. But there's nothing of any substance. There's no major thing that I believe I could have done differently that would have achieved a different outcome. The fact was that my wife met somebody else and she left me for him, and there was nothing I could do about that, and that was the driver that led to the breakdown of the relationship with my children.
So effectively, has there been she met another man? Is he the one that's raised your children?
She didn't set up home with that other man in the end, but she has since set up home with another man, and I can only assume that yes, he has taken over as some kind of father role, that makes me incredibly angry. From what I know of him, he's not somebody that I would want near my children. And yet I have no power or control over that whatsoever.
It is heartbreaking, isn't it? Because, the thought of somebody else, raising my children or having a say in what goes on, because I'm their mother and their dad is their dad, and that is that. It's hard to get your head around, but when it's actually happened, as it's happened to you, it must be just so difficult to live, away from the situation, having no input into their upbringing whatsoever at all, and just having to watch this all happen from a distance because you can't have any contact.
Yeah, the only way that, I think everybody finds their own coping strategies for these kind of things, and I just find that I have to make myself not think about it on a day-to-day basis, because it would just be beyond anything I could cope with. I occupy my thoughts and my time with as fully as I can. Sadly, I think a lot of fathers turn to drink or drugs or other things to try and dull the pain of it, and that's not really helping anybody when that happens. But one has to find a way of doing it. I think you put it in perfectly there, Caroline, that the idea of somebody taking your children away and raising them in a manner that you don't want them raised is just spikes so many emotions in any parent. And yet it's as though you're kind of sitting in the chair with your hands cuffed behind your back by the judicial system and unable to do anything to intervene, because any kind of improper approach to the home where they're living in, and you could get arrested for harassment. You've got to be so careful, and in the end you have to comply with the power of the state, that the state is saying you will not intervene, and if you do, you will suffer the consequences of it. And one has to accept the reality that you can't fight the state. The state is too powerful. And if the state is doing this, whether it's for good or bad reasons, then there's nothing that an individual can do. It's a powerlessness.
Now, Ray, we are getting messages I'm seeing coming through at the minute from dads that are in situations, I'm not going to say entirely the same because we haven't heard their stories yet, but hopefully we will as the show goes on, but similar. So is there help, or is there, somewhere from your experience that you can go and talk to people that have gone through the same and, perhaps draw something from it? Can you suggest anywhere?
Well, there's a very good organisation called Families Need Fathers, which I'm not a member of myself, but they do have groups that meet around the country, self-help support groups. Our own organisation, Real Fathers for Justice, we provide an online support service around obtaining contact through the court system with one's children, because so many fathers can't afford the fees of solicitors. So we do what we can to help them with our own expertise. And in terms of what dads should do, I think the most important thing when you're alienated from your children is to keep letting them know that you're there for them. The research that I've read, which derives from what children themselves say when they've grown up about what their parents could have done differently or better, is to say that even when the child themselves is saying, I don't want to see my dad, the dad shouldn't take that at face value, because the child doesn't really mean it at face value. They're saying that to survive in the situation they find themselves in. And so it's important for that child to keep getting messages from the father. I don't blame you. I'm still here for you. I love you. Anytime you're ready, I'm here for you. That's the most practical, useful thing that a father can do in this situation.
I've heard and talked to people in the past before that have been in this situation, and they've written cards, birthday cards, Christmas cards, and they've got rooms just full with the cards, the presents, and any other letters that they've not been able to send because the letters have been returned. So I know I talked to one gentleman in particular who his son did come find him. This was years later on, but he was able to give him all of these cards. And, I was thinking of you. You were in my thoughts. You were there all along. And it did make a great difference in the whole bonding process, having, the proof that you never left my thoughts. You were always there. You were always in my mind.
Yeah, I think I think most of us tend to keep those kind of things in the hope that one day they'll be used for just that purpose. Here's the evidence, if you like. Here's the evidence, if it's needed, that I kept trying. These are the presents that were returned. These are the cards that I would have sent you if I'd been able to, etc. And yes, that's a practical thing that that a father can do in this situation. I really would encourage dads not to give up. There's various campaign groups that are really trying to change things, and we keep working on it. I don't think we're ever going to give up on it. There's a new political party that I've joined called Justice for Men and Boys, where we're campaigning for this and other justice issues surrounding men. So we are still trying to get things changed so that we'll get a restoration of justice. But in the meantime, every dad has got to do what he can for his own children and his own family. And that's really the priority that I think we all take. Do what we can for our own children to show them that we love them. But don't give up on the fight to change the rules that put us into this situation in the first place.
Absolutely. Listen, Ray, thank you very much for your time this afternoon. It's been good talking to you. Thank you.
You too, Caroline.
Thank you. That is Ray Barry. Obviously been through this himself. You heard his story there. He is involved with Real Fathers for Justice and helps dads build bridges with their families and their children. Now, I've got text coming through at the moment. If you've ever been through this and you can come on and chat to me, please pick up the phone. It's 08453 009956. That's 08453 009956. 956, and you can text 81333 starting your text with WM. Just had a text in here that says, Caroline, I see my son each week, but he doesn't even know that I'm his dad. It kills me little by little every day. Messages like that, and calls coming in now too. Thank you so much, and hopefully we'll talk to some more people in just a bit as well. It's 24 minutes after midday, BBC WM 95.6, and here are the OJs. Good afternoon, it's Lunch with Caroline Martin, BBC WM 95.6. Now, I'm asking this afternoon if you've ever had a rocky relationship with your parents or a child. Now, it's all because Michael Lavelle is reaching out to build bridges with his children. He's not seen them for 2 years. So how hard do you think that that's going to be for him? We've got lots of comments coming through on this because people obviously have been through it themselves. Come and chat to me about this. If you're estranged from your parent, if you're estranged from your children, how have you dealt with that? How do you find the actual meeting up with them again? How do you feel all that time that's been gone since you actually sat down together as a family? How do you make those memories when so much time has lapsed in certain situations that are coming through this afternoon? We're going to talk to some more people about this in a bit. 08453 009956, and you can text 81333 starting your text with WM.
Pete Morgan at breakfast.
Waking up Birmingham and the Black Country.
On Thursday's breakfast show, we heard your hospital experiences after a report said New Cross was short of staff.
It was my husband's birthday yesterday. He's broken his neck. Was taken to Sandwell Hospital. They could not have been kinder.
And listener Mike from Wolverhampton decided he is going to have a DNA test to find out if his son really is his son. Have you made a decision?
I'm going to go forward for the DNA test. I have to do for peace of mind.
On Friday's programme from 6, Doctor Who is 50 on Saturday. MPs say it's the best of the BBC. Are they right?
Pete Morgan at breakfast
Weekdays from 6.
on BBC WM 95.6.
I think they're right. It is the best of the BBC. My children cannot wait to watch Doctor Who, and they're absolutely longing for it. And that's all I'm hearing about at home at the minute. Doctor Who, it's this weekend. They can't wait. They're gagging for it. And obviously, Pete's going to be talking about it tomorrow in breakfast at 6 here on BBC WM. It's BBC WM 95.6, and Liz is checking the roads for us. How are they looking, Liz?
Well, Caroline, the motorway's not looking too bad. The M40 lanes that were closed for barrier repairs seem to reopen now in both directions, 15 to 16. In Whittington, however, Fisherwick Road is still shut because of an accident between Main Street and the Hadmore turn-off, so affecting your journey as you head between Lichfield and Elford. Busy through Sparkhill on the A34, still quite congested in Kings Heath on the A435. In Hagley, you'll find the A456 is struggling. It's very slow because of roadworks, temporary lights, the junction with Worcester Road causing congestion, particularly as you come from Blakedown. Slow in Dudley around the Burntree traffic lights, and further along the A461 is busy as you head from Cinderbank Island through towards Prawn Island. On public transport, there's still delays of about an hour on cross-country trains between Birmingham New Street and Bournemouth because of emergency engineering works. And Midland Metro services, the trams still have minor delays because services were suspended earlier. There's a road accident in the Priestfield and Wolverhampton area. It's all been sorted out, but still a bit of a knock-on effect. If you can update us, call BBC WM 95.6 Travel 08453 002288.
Thank you very much, Liz. Also this afternoon, I want to introduce you to the new craze that is sweeping the fashion world for pregnant ladies. I'll tell you more about that in a bit after the news headlines with Joe Tibman.
The voice of Birmingham and the Black Country. BBC WM 95.6.
A Walsall woman's been found guilty of asking a former neighbour to kill her partner. Wolverhampton Crown Court heard that 40-year-old Kelly Cliff, who's from Aldridge, had had numerous affairs and wanted Carl Gallagher dead. When she asked 45-year-old Dalton Bowen to help, he went to the police and told them about her plans. Kelly Cliff is due to be sentenced later next month. Army commanders who served in Northern Ireland say claims by former members of an undercover unit that they shot unarmed civilians should be treated with caution. Veterans of a secret unit in the 1970s have told the BBC they may have shot people even when they saw no weapon. But several former officers have defended the military reaction force, saying it had a reputation for acting in a principled way. A cabinet minister is challenging claims by the Labour leader Ed Miliband that he behaved with complete integrity in his dealings with the Co-op Bank and its disgraced former chairman Paul Flowers. The former Labour councillor who sat on the party's business advisory group is being investigated by police amid allegations involving illegal drugs, pornography and male prostitutes. And the BBC is bringing 80 jobs to its regional headquarters in Birmingham's mailbox. The Director-General Tony Hall has been in the city today to announce that from 2015 the mailbox will be used for training and apprenticeships for the BBC. A look at the weather. Cold today with some sunny spells. There could be some showers with highs reaching 8 degrees Celsius. That's 46 degrees Fahrenheit.
The Voice.
The Voice.
The voice of Birmingham and the Black Country. BBC WM 95.6.
So, this new... I'm not even going to call it a fashion statement because I don't really get it, but there is a new thing that's sweeping the fashion world called Mama Spanx. Now, they're a new type of underwear that pregnant women can wear to make them feel a little bit thinner and a bit more body confident when they're with child. But do you think that this is a step too far? Do we spend far too much time worrying about what we look like and how our body looks when we're pregnant? Should we just embrace the bump and the fact that our bodies will get bigger? I know when my mum was pregnant with my little brother, she went out and bought these massive maternity dresses. I'm sure that the entire family could have fitted under her frock and we'd never have been seen. Do you know what I mean? But it was like, okay, I'm pregnant. You can't see anything yet, but I'm going to buy a big smock thing and I'm going to wear that until I give birth and then perhaps for a few months afterwards, sometimes even a year. But now the emphasis appears that you've got to give birth and then within a matter of days, if not weeks, you've got to get thin again. You've got to get back to your original weight. And there's so much pressure to do this. Do you think that sometimes the actual beauty of being pregnant and being able to enjoy it, is that lost with all these things? And would you wear these Mama Spanx? Have you got some? Maybe your son, daughter, your son, maybe your daughter is pregnant and has got some. What do you think? Do you think it's a mad idea? Give me a call, 08453 009956. You can text 81333, starting your text with WM. And thank you for all your messages coming in about relationships with children. I want to know if you've ever had a rocky relationship with a parent or a child, and if so, how did you overcome it? I was quite shocked to read that an eighth of Britain's divorced dads have no contact with their children at all. Whether it's been through choice, maybe they go on to have other families with a new partner and leave the old one behind, or maybe the divorce was so bad that the mum turned the children against them, or maybe the children saw enough to form their own opinions. But it seems that an eighth of Britain's divorced dads have no contact with their children. Has it happened to you? And in the future, further down the line, how do you go about mending bridges? How do you go about getting to see them again? And how can you make up for all that time that's been lost? If you've been through it, let me know. Come chat to me this afternoon. Adam is in Rednall. Hi, Adam.
Afternoon.
Hello, Adam. So
right.
You're having problems, or you've had problems seeing your daughter?
Yeah. Me and my ex, we split up 16 years ago when my daughter had just turned 2.
Right.
She moved to another part of the country. I turned up home from work about 3 days after we split up to have a court bailiff on the door with court papers saying, stay away from these people, you got a court date, you're not allowed to go nowhere near them. But luckily at the time, she rung me and spoke to the court bailiff. It took me about 5 years, up and down the country to various courts where she lived. Every court order that was ever made, she defied. Nothing was ever done. And It got to the stage that the final time we was in court, she said that one of the times I was due to have my daughter, that she wasn't very well and she wasn't at school. But I didn't know that the barrister that I was using at the time had contacted the education service, who'd contacted the school and got a letter from the school and a copy of the register to say that she was at school, there was nothing wrong with her. And my ex blatantly tried to lie in court, and the judge turned around as she was lying through her teeth and said, look, blah, blah, I've had enough of this now. You put any more obstacles in the way of him having any contact with his daughter, I will not hesitate about sending you to prison.
Blimey.
And that was it. Everything, it was a bit awkward for the next 3 or 4 or 5 years. And when my daughter was 12, I got a phone call from my daughter saying, look, Dad, I've got my life up here now. I don't want to see you anymore. It broke my heart. I was in bits.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's my daughter. I respect her wishes. I didn't see her for 2 years. When she was 14, I get a phone call the one day. Dad, I'm in King's Eve. Come and get me. What do you mean you're in King's Eve? I ain't spoke to you for 2 years. Well, my mum's kicked me out. So I went to King's Eve, found out what had happened. Her mum and dad had a row. She'd been kicked out and she was living at her nan's. Her nan is from Birmingham, so I'd come down to see her family. And my daughter's gone, I've had enough. I'm not having any more living at my nan's. Well, I'll go and live with my dad. Since that day, my ex hasn't bothered with my daughter. She has never had a birthday card, a Christmas card, a happy birthday, a Merry Christmas, nothing.
So she's just washed her hands of her?
My daughter has had arguments on the phone with her, and all she ever says is, look, my life doesn't revolve around you. I'm not coming to Birmingham to see you. Why should I? You're the one that done it. You live there and you stay there.
And how old is your daughter now?
She'll be 18 next month.
And after all that time of being apart, 2 years of, you've got the previous years of the toing and froing, but I mean, how did you find your relationship then? Because I mean, did you still... Yeah.
Truthfully, no, I still don't know my daughter.
Really?
I don't. It's hard work. I'll do anything for her and everything I can, but I don't know her.
Mm.
I know it sounds harsh and she's my own flesh and blood, but it is hard work with her, and I do not know her. I don't know stuff that she likes, stuff that she does. She can't talk to me.
It must be difficult, Adam, because I mean, you know, with my guys, you know, we will sit there and they have the most amazing memories, and they will sit there. Oh, Mum, do you remember that time we went to this place? Do you remember that time we did this? And you know, I've got a vague recollection of going, but they remember the absolute, you know, to what colour the shell was we picked on so and so beach and stuff like that.
But you see, my daughter, it's. Well, my mum said you done this, and my mum said you done that.
Yeah.
Did you do that to my mum? And it's like, no, I didn't. As usual, it's all lies.
Yeah, I was going to say, because you've not had the chance to make those memories, have you, that you can call back on? So, and it must be so difficult to kind of like, because she's your daughter, and of course you love her, and so, but there's got to be more to it than that, hasn't there?
Well, you see, the other thing as well is my daughter's got another, hang on, I can work this out now, another 2 sisters and 2 brothers off. My ex married somebody else, and and the same thing last year happened to him.
Okay.
She got bored, didn't want to be with him, so made up all the lies.
Yeah.
He hasn't seen his kids now for 2 years, and the oldest one is 13, and the youngest one is I think the youngest one's about 3.5. Now, he was going through court exactly the same thing as me. His solicitors contacted me, said, look, can we get your paperwork out? Can we bring you as a witness, as a statement in court to say what's going on? Yeah, no problem. I'll go to court. I don't want this happening to the other kids again. Because at the end of the day, it's no matter what goes on with the adults, big enough, grown up and ugly enough to look after themselves, it's the kids that suffer.
Yeah.
And it went into court, paper was put in, and the judge turned around and said, no, he's not coming to court. I'm looking at this. This is a witch hunt. And the judges turned around to him and said, unless you go to anger management regarding this, you will never see your kids again.
But that's just, that is just heartbreaking. Is nobody in all of this and all the stories that I've got coming in this afternoon thinking of the children?
Well, exactly. This is exactly the thing. The CAF officer came down from where my ex lives, and sat and chatted to me, my daughter, about what had happened in our past, got all the case files out and everything. But that didn't make any difference in court. At the end of the day, it come down to the fact that the judge turned around and said, unless you... Because he said, because I've seen some of the paperwork from it, there is a possibility that my ex's ex-husband could have been aggressive and violent, even though, like me, we never was.
Yeah.
There was never any police records. Nobody's ever seen nothing. But there was a possibility. He turned around and said, the judge, unless you go to anger management, then you will not see your kids.
Adam, with regard to you, do you have other children?
No.
No. So she's your only daughter then?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I just wondered how they would cope with all of this, but obviously that's not relevant because you don't have any. But, I mean, going forward, I mean, does she... I mean, she's your daughter, you love her, you're her dad, and obviously she loves you, but is there any way that you could kind of, like, deepen this bond? Do you feel that it's almost too late, that too much time has passed?
It's one of them things. I don't know, because I don't know how to react towards her, because it had been that long that since we'd spent any serious time together, because it'd be one weekend a month.
It must have almost been... Was it almost like having... I mean, when she came to live with you...
A stranger?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It must have been.
It was horrible. It was a stranger. I've got my own daughter in my own house that I don't know. Who is she? What am I doing? What does she like? What does she do? I don't know. And it broke my heart. But great. I met a lovely woman and we got married, and she has helped me so much, because I could have quite easily give up and just collapsed and done something stupid.
And how does your daughter get on with this woman?
Great.
Good.
Great. She's known her since my daughter was about 3.5.
Yeah.
But like my daughter says, at the end of the day, my own mother can't be bothered, so can I call you, Mum? My wife's gone, well, it's up to you, but at the end of the day, I'm not your mum, but I will be there for you, and I will give you every bit of support and help you need.
Well, it sounds to me, you know, with that statement alone, as though your daughter's kind of crying out for love, isn't she?
Yeah,
that's what she wants, and it seems...
The most hurtful thing is the fact that her own mother has never had a birthday card, a Christmas card, a phone call on a birthday, a phone call at Christmas, nothing.
Well, that I can't. Words fail me there. Absolutely fail me there.
And like that man from Files for Justice said, it got to the stage with me when I was trying to send stuff that I would send stuff registered, delivered, not recorded, registered, because you can track where it is, and if it doesn't get to him, it comes back. And when my daughter come down, it was like, but you didn't bother with me, Dad. I never had birthday cards. Because hang on a minute, I went upstairs in the loft, got everything out I'd ever sent to her. And I goes, these are the things. This was when attempted delivery was. Your mother never picked them up from the post office and never give them you. I've got what I sent you. I tried my hardest.
Well, Adam, it sounds like you're doing a good job. Just keep persevering at it, my darling.
Well,
and thank you very much for sharing your story with me today. Good to talk to you. Thank you, Adam in Rednall. Goodness gracious me. So have you ever been through something similar to that or something like that? Give me a call, 08453 009956. That's 08453 009956. 81333 on the text if you'd like to text instead. But do start it with WM just to make sure that it gets to me, OK? Right, we'll take some more of your calls. We've got plenty of people coming in on this. Thank you so much for that. We're going to be talking about pregnancy as well. And is there a pressure to look glamorous whilst you are pregnant nowadays? And is it called for, really? We'll talk about that in a little bit, but we'll have Phil Collins now. This is In the Air Tonight on BBC WM.
Your face before my friend, but I don't know if you know who I am. Well, I was there and I saw what you did. I saw it with my own two eyes. So you could wipe off that grin. I know where you've been. It's all been a pack of lies. And I can feel it coming in the air tonight. Oh Lord. Well, I've been waiting for this moment for all my life. Oh Lord. I can feel it coming in the air tonight. Oh Lord. Well, I've been waiting for this moment for all my life. Oh Lord, oh Lord. Well, I remember, don't worry. How could I ever forget? It's the first time, the last time we ever met. But I know the reason why you keep your silence up. No, you don't fool me. The hurt doesn't show, but the pain still grows. So strangers to you and me. I can feel it coming in the air tonight. Oh Lord. Well, I've been waiting for this moment for all my life. Oh Lord. I can feel it in the air tonight. Oh Lord. Oh Lord. Well, I've been waiting for this moment for all my life. Oh Lord. I can feel it coming in the air tonight. Oh Lord. Well, I've been waiting for this moment for all my life.
Phil Collins, In the Air tonight. It's BBC WM 95.6. I don't know what's going to be in the air in our house tonight. My little girl, Willow, she's 5 years old. She came down with this sickness bug last night, and honestly, I've never seen anything like it, bless her heart. So obviously, straight up to the shop this morning, buying every single antiseptic wipe and bottle of bleach and disinfectant and everything in sight, because I'm primed now, and I know that somebody else is going to get it tonight. So we're all on bug watch in our house. And the worst thing is, the man in the co-op said, well, you're not the only one that's been in today. It's going around the village. So just watch out, Kingsbury, okay? It's doing the rounds. Prepare yourself, because it's coming to get you.
The Ed Doolan Christmas Show 2013.
Starring
The BBC Big Band.
Richard and Adam from Britain's Got Talent.
Black country comedian Doug Parker.
Winner of BBC One's The Voice, Andrea Begley. And the cast of Ghost the Musical.
Tickets are £4 plus the transaction fee. Available from the box office or call 0121 345 0603.
Join BBC WM on December the 19th from 11 a.m. at Birmingham's Symphony Hall.
The Ed Doolan Christmas Show 2013.
Come on down.
Good afternoon, it's BBC WM Lunch with Caroline Martin, asking, have you ever had a rocky relationship with a parent or a child? And if so, how did you overcome it? Now, an eighth of Britain's divorced dads have no contact with their children whatsoever at all. We've talked to a couple of them this afternoon here on BBC WM, and it sounds like it's just really hard to know that you've got children out there, but they want no contact with you and they have nothing to do with you. And you've got to kind of cope with that and hope that one day they will come through and want that contact all over again. Talking about this today because the Coronation Street actor Michael Lavelle is trying to get in touch with his 2 teenage children. He's not spoken to them for 2 years since his divorce with their mum, but how hard do you think that is going to be for him? If you've been through it yourself, let me know. Give me a call, 08453 009956. Vertilla is in West Bromwich. Hello,
Hello, my darling.
Hello, Vertilla. How are you this afternoon?
Listen, this gentleman, I cried, It's so emotional.
Oh,
very,
bless.
very.
It is.
It pointed me, just a quick, because my daughter-in-law comes every Thursday from work. She's fantastic.
Right.
I've got the best daughter-in-law on earth.
Excellent.
Yes, my daughters and sons, the boys are all right. But I divorced the dad when they were big, I should say adult, because I couldn't put up with him anymore. Adultery and blah, blah, and he's got a child, whatever. So I did it. But Caroline, where I felt so mad sometimes, we had 2 property, one in Jamaica, one here, and I lost them all to the courts, and I'm living in a flat now. And I'm happy because my mom would say it's material. But it's not very easy when the girls think, well, oh, my dad, especially one, never wrong. She don't bother with me. Now and then if I go to other functions with my other daughter, she's there. Oh, Mom, how are you today? But I just reached the end. I don't care anymore. I've lost my mom at the age of 88, and I worship the ground my mom walk. And I can't understand these kids. You haven't heard from your mom. I hear her 6 months. I call my mom every day, 3 times a day, 4 times.
Really?
I don't understand. They're cold, they're selfish. And I'm the only child now because my mom gave birth to 2 kids. My brother died at 52 with cancer, just left me. She went home, she came back, she lived with me for 4 months, and I get her a flat, and she lived and gone, and Caroline, I would do it all over again. I can't understand these kids. The boys all right, but especially one daughter, they don't bother. I saw them at function when my granddaughter getting married, and they pretend this to me last week. But I'm not going to let it bother me because I've got heart problem now. That's what killed my mom. I'm just moving on. But it's so, so sad.
So, I mean, why do you think that she's like she is then? Why do you think that there is this distance between you?
Because I think that dad never do anything wrong and they know what's going on.
Right. But, so they kind of like look at that whole situation and see their dad through rose-coloured spectacles.
Yes, and I am the one. I just say it, Caroline, as how it is.
Yeah.
My mom, I divorced. My mom would never divorce, but my dad divorced my mom. And she'd been through the same thing. And I said to my eldest daughter the other day, she didn't ring till how many weeks. I said, listen me, watch what you're doing. Don't let history repeat itself. But I'm wondering why these kids, especially girls, behave like that when they have kids. I get on with the boys, them. One is how much you come and visit me, say, Mom, don't worry about it. But it's not very nice. I am the only one with one daughter, goes to the cemetery. I treasure my mom, Caroline. She took me from Jamaica. My mom came. My dad 55. My mom 56. My brother 57. I 58. But my mom would never, ever divorce the man. And he treated my mom that bad. Divorced, she lost her house to the other woman. I never speak to the man until he's dead.
Goodness me.
I am like that, Caroline, and these kids, they behave like that. They never. My mom came here and lived in Semitic for 9 years. And Caroline, they not live in London, they live in Birmingham. I don't think they visit my mom 3 times. She lost her pension while I was going to work in the evening, and that makes me even angry more. I'm saying to you, and I'm so sad.
I think that a lot of these cases, it seems that the actual, if the man leaves, then the woman is poisoning the children against the man, or vice versa.
But these kids, they're adult. The boys are not like that.
Yeah.
They're not little kids. I put up with it and I said to him, I'm going to left one of these days, but when the kids grow up. So I'm wondering why, but the boys are different. Why? And I was such a good mother to them. I should have left the man years ago, but what annoys me now, I've got one property in Jamaica, we both together, and there's a property in Handsworth, and I plea for the man to let me keep that one. And I don't want to go into it, Caroline, but I'm so hungry with that man that I have to fight to see his kids. But you have women like that. But my kids were adult. And I don't care if they want to listen. My mom was in hospital for how many weeks. The buggers, them never visit her. Sorry to say that. When she's dead, then they come crying. What for? and telling me how to do this with my mom. Go away. You didn't know my mom when she was alive.
Vertilla, it's a pleasure to talk to you, my darling. You always bring a smile to people's faces, and you talk sense, lady.
Yes,
you talk sense.
I'll be 80 soon, and I'm proud of it.
Excellent. You call me again, Vertilla. I'll look forward to
and
it.
I love you. I like to listen. I listen to all the show, you know.
Oh, bless your heart. Well, listen some more. We've still got an hour to go, and then we've got the lovely Danny on the way from 2 o'clock here on BBC WM. I love Vertilla. Right, it's One Direction taking us up to the news. Story of my life.
Written in these walls are the stories that I can't explain. I leave my heart open, but it stays right here empty for days. She told me in the morning she don't feel the same about us in her bones. Seems to me that when I die, these words will be written on my stone. And I'll be gone, gone tonight. The ground beneath my feet is open wide. The way that I've been holding on too tight, with nothing in between. The story of my life, I'll take her home. I'll drive all night to keep her warm in time. It's walls are the colors that I can't change. Leave my heart open, but it stays right here in its cage. And I'll be gone, gone tonight. Fire beneath my feet is burning bright. The way that I've been holding on so tight, with nothing in between. The story of my life, I'll take her home. I'll drive all night to keep her warm in time. It's frozen. The story of my life, I give her hope. I spend her love until she's broke inside. The story of my life. And I've been waiting for this time to come around. But baby, running after you is like chasing the clouds. The story of my life, I take her home. I drive all night to keep her warm in time. It's frozen. The story of my life, I give her hope. I spend her love until she's broke inside. The story of my life. The story of my life. The story of my
It's BBC WM 95.6. Let's get the travel with Liz.
Traffic's looking quite congested as you make your way onto the M40. We understand the barriers have been reclosed again, the lanes either side of it. Lane 3 north and southbound 16 to 15, that's Henley to the Warwick turn. Traffic is coping okay though, passing the scene. At Pensnet, the High Street is partially blocked both ways because of an accident involving a bus and a car near to the High Oak turn near the chip shop. As you head to King's Heath, it's looking rather congested on the A435. Heavy going around Bordsley Circus now in Birmingham, particularly on the A45. If you can update us, 08453 002288.
Waking up the West Midlands with the latest news, sport, weather and travel updates. Pete Morgan at Breakfast is back tomorrow morning from 6.
The voice of Birmingham and the Black Country.
BBC WM 95.6.
It's 1 o'clock and with the news, here's Joe Tidman.
A Walsall woman's been found guilty of asking a former neighbour to kill her partner. Wolverhampton Crown Court heard 40-year-old Kelly Cliff, who's from Aldridge, had had numerous affairs and wanted Carl Gallagher dead. When she asked 45-year-old Dalton Bowen to help, he went to the police and told them about her plans. Kelly Cliff is due to be sentenced later next month. DC Jim Connell is from West Midlands Police. He's been talking to BBC WM outside court.
It's a great result for the police after 8 months' worth of hard work in an unusual case. It depended who they believed. There was two witnesses in the case, and it was whether they believed the defendant Kelly Cliff or the prosecution witness. And it's a good result.
Soldiers from an undercover unit used by the British Army in Northern Ireland killed unarmed civilians, according to former members who've spoken to the BBC. Ex-members of the Military Reaction Force, or MRF, say they were tasked with hunting down IRA members in Belfast in the early 1970s. The Ministry of Defence has asked the police in Northern Ireland to investigate. Adrian Goldberg has spoken to Mickey McKenny, whose brother was killed on Bloody Sunday in 1972 in Derry.
Northern Ireland this past 40 years has been a terrible place for everybody involved. In my case, British paratroopers murdered my brother, and I know that the IRA and the VAF, they've all been responsible for some terrible atrocities. But I think it's down to the individual who's been affected by it.
Labour has accused David Cameron of launching a smear campaign against it over the party's links with the disgraced former chairman of the Co-op Bank, Paul Flowers. Mr Flowers, a former Labour councillor who sat on the party's business advisory group, is to be questioned by the police about allegations that he brought illegal drugs. It's emerged Birmingham City Council spending £1.2 million for a new website for the new library. It's part of their contract with Service Birmingham, but some IT experts and bloggers are criticising the cost, as it'll also cost £190,000 a year to run. Paul Tilsley is a councillor on Birmingham City Centre. He's been talking to Adrian Goldberg.
You are looking at a technical product that will do a whole range of things. I can assure you that places like, or companies like Tesco and Amazon spend a lot of money on their websites because it has to do a lot of different functions. This is exactly the same as the Library of Birmingham.
And the BBC is bringing around 80 jobs to its regional headquarters in Birmingham's mailbox. Over the last few years, some programme making has moved out of the city to places like Bristol, while a lot of national programming is now made in Salford. At the moment, BBC WM and BBC Midlands Today come from Birmingham, while dramas like Doctors are also made in the city. A look then at today's weather. It'll be cold with some sunny spells. There could be some showers with highs reaching 8 degrees Celsius, 46 degrees Fahrenheit. There could be more showers tonight, but it should stay mostly dry with lows down to freezing. That's 32 degrees Fahrenheit. Friday's looking dry and cold. BBC WM News. There's more online at bbc.co.uk/WM.
The Voice. The Voice.
The Voice.
The Voice of Birmingham and the Black Country.
Lunch with Caroline Martin.
On BBC WM
95.6.
Good afternoon, it's 4 minutes after 1. I'm still taking your calls on how hard it is to rebuild a relationship with a parent or a child once you've fallen out or not had any communication for a long time. But I just want to ask you this. Do we put too much pressure on pregnant women to look good during their pregnancy and straight away after they've given birth?
Have your say.
Across the West Midlands, call 08453 009956.
BBC WM 95.6.
Now, I want to introduce you to the new craze hitting the high street, Mama Spanks. They claim to make pregnant women feel more confident during their pregnancy, as well as feeling trimmer. So would you ever wear these? Do you think that maybe this is a step too far? It seems like gone are the days where the main priority of mums-to-be is comfort. Am I right? Now, Natasha Devons runs Body Gossip, a body image campaign that works with people in the West Midlands to improve body confidence. Hello, Natasha.
Hi.
Hi, good afternoon. Thanks for joining me this afternoon. So, have you seen these things? Have you come into contact with these Mama Spanks yet, Natasha?
I've certainly seen Spanks in my time. I've not specifically seen the Mama Spanks range, but I am a little bit reticent to kind of applaud it, because one of the things that we do at Body Gossip is we invite the public to share their real body stories at our website, and one of the things that people write to us about a lot is the experience of going through pregnancy and giving birth. It's a real life changer in terms of how people feel about their body and their body image. And what mums are telling us is that having gone through that process, they view their bodies completely differently, because they suddenly understand that their bodies are there to do a job, first and foremost, and that any way that it might look is a secondary consideration. So we've got lots of mums writing to us going, my body is amazing. I mean, probably it's technically never looked worse, but that doesn't matter because I made a human. And so I feel that this Mama Spanx range kind of misses that point, and it's doing a bit of a disservice to the thing that your body is doing as opposed to how it looks.
I think that you are right, and I do think that it's a great shame that, you know, once you've given birth, I mean, yeah, your body is frankly a bit of a mess, isn't it, to be fair? But once you've given birth, the pressure seems to be on getting it back to the way that it was, and to becoming trim and to lose that baby weight, rather than enjoying those first few weeks, months of being with your baby and the bonding and everything that goes with that. It seems like, no, all these celebrities are out there and they manage to get trim again very, very quickly, so the pressure is upon you to do the same, and that sometimes is a big ask, isn't it?
It is, and I think it goes hand in hand with a sort of a social thing that's happening at the moment, where somehow it's not enough just to say I'm a mum. I remember that I was at a function a few weeks ago, and I was meeting a woman for the first time, and I said to her, "And what do you do?" And she said, "I'm a mum." But the way that she said it was so enthusiastic, and of course it is the hardest job that you can do to get it right, you know, of course. But it was obvious to me that so many people, when she said I'm a mum, had kind of waited for her to say and something else as well. So I think that because we've stopped recognising that how difficult it is to be a good parent, we've somehow that's kind of spilled over into how we're expecting mums to look, and we're expecting them to snap back to exactly how they looked pre-pregnancy.
And I think that what we have to bear in mind as well is a lot of these celebrities, they have a lot of help on hand, or they can afford a lot of help. So they can afford to get people, personal trainers, they can afford people to look after the children while they go out and they do what they do to make their bodies look wonderful again. It's not just like that for the average person, is it?
Absolutely not. And I think what you've touched on as well is there's a difference, let's not forget, between health and thinness. And a lot of the reporting that happens around body image tends to use them as synonymous, as one and the same. Let's not forget that the sad truth is that a lot of women do take risks with their health throughout their life in order to be the shape and size that they are. They don't always take care of themselves. And then when they get pregnant, they suddenly realise that there's another human being who they're responsible for, and they're probably the healthiest they've ever been by the time that they give birth, and when they're breastfeeding as well, because they've given up alcohol and they're probably trying to nourish themselves as best they could. So let's not forget that just because you might not be thin, it doesn't mean that you're not healthy.
And I think it's important as well, after giving birth, that the job isn't done then, because it takes a lot out of you being a mum, and you need to feed yourself properly, and it's just as important afterwards, isn't it? Because you've got to remain healthy to give that child the best that it can have. And if you've been, childbirth as well, I mean, how long do they say it takes your body to repair itself after that? Or if you've had a cesarean, isn't it a year or so before your body repairs itself? Or it takes that long to repair if you've had, a cesarean, if you've had a knife, if you've been cut or anything like that. So I think all this pressure, it saddens me that, just enjoy the baby, enjoy your time. I think gone are the days where we know that it's not acceptable now to eat for two. We don't need to consume that many calories and to eat that much stuff while we're pregnant. But there's a healthy way of doing it, and a way to feel good too, isn't there?
Yes, I think that your attitude is absolutely the correct one to take. And remember as well that just because there is someone there or a product there supposedly helping you to do something like look thinner or more tanned or whatever, that doesn't mean that is right. Let's make our own decisions about what we want to do with our bodies.
That said, do you think that this will catch on? Because I think that there are going to be people that are going to go out and they're going to buy these things.
Sadly, I think it might. I'm slightly worried about it. I mean, I heard about a product the other day that's a pregnancy band that women wear for the bits sort of between their top and their trousers, just to make them more comfortable and feel more supported. And I suppose there's an argument that this is just that and a little bit more, making you appear thinner at the same time. So, I mean, they wouldn't have introduced it if there wasn't a market for it, unfortunately, but I would certainly approach it with caution.
There we are then. Approach it with caution. That is good advice. Approach with caution. Natasha, listen, nice talking to you this afternoon. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for your time. That is Natasha Devon, who runs Body Gossip, which is a body image campaign that works with people in the West Midlands to help improve body confidence. But be proud of what you've got, all right? Relish it. Enjoy it. And if you have tried these things, or if you feel that you should, give me a call. And did you feel under pressure to get thin after giving birth? Was that your priority? I've got to lose all this weight. I've got to get back to the way that I was. Give me a call. Let's talk about that for a bit. 08453 009956. That's 08453 009956. You can text as well. 81333. Start your text with WM.
My love
David Bowie and Let's Dance. It's Lunch with Caroline Martin, 1:15. How are you doing this afternoon then? Listen, thank you for your comments and your calls. Now, I've introduced you to the new craze hitting the high street, Mama Spanx. Now, they claim to make pregnant women feel more confident during their pregnancy as well as feeling trimmer. So would you ever wear this? Would you ever wear it yourself? Maybe you think it's a step too far. And also, what lengths have you gone to get rid of the baby weights having given birth? Did you feel pressured to do that? Do give me a call. It's 08453 009956 and you can text 81333, starting your text with WM. Now, Janet's in Wensfield. Hi, Janet.
Hello, Caroline.
Hello, Janet. How are you?
Long time listener, but it's the first time I've called you.
Well, do you know what? It's a pleasure to be speaking to you, Janet, and thank you for listening. Now, tell me about this corset then.
It used to be called a stave.
Right.
And, when you was pregnant, my mum was 53, and I said to her, you're going to be a nan. I'm not going to be a nan, a granny. You're not going to be... sorry, I'm too young to be a granny. And it was 53.
Right.
And, I went through my pregnancy, but you had a skirt and smocks to wear, so people knew you was pregnant because you wore a smock. But when you had the baby, you had to have, you was in hospital a fortnight.
Yeah.
Lay on your back for 2 weeks. Well, the damage was already done with your muscles then.
Mm.
So you always looked pregnant when you came out. So your mum got you what they call a corset or staves. And my mum used to make me wear it, and there was bounds in, long bounds all the way round. And then they used to go to the back and pull me in.
Oh, my goodness, really? Yeah, that must have hurt.
Yeah. And then there was, suspenders on.
Yeah.
And then you put your stockings on. Oh, my God. Oh, my God, how sexy is that?
But didn't it... so it pulled everything in and kept it in place?
Yeah, it pulled everything in. And you got 4 suspenders, 2 at the front and 2 at the back. And if you lost one of your little rubber ones, you used to put a sixpence in to walk it on.
Oh, my goodness gracious me. Do you know what? Now you mention it, I'm sure that I remember my grandmother having such a... with these suspender things as well.
Yes, but they was attached to the corset, and you always wore stockings in them days.
So did it... was it uncomfortable, Janet?
Yes, you felt like it's in a straitjacket. That's what it was, a straitjacket.
Yeah.
But it did pull you in.
Yeah.
And it was, everybody did it then. But I've still got a belly, and I'm 82 this Sunday.
Oh, but it's a lovely belly, though, Janet.
But I do wear a corset, not a corset, a trimmer thing, because I could still go dancing.
Yeah.
And I think, you got to look through the mirror before you go out.
Absolutely.
And as I say, I do wear it like a pantyhose.
Yeah.
Now, but them corsets used to haunt me. But as I say, my husband, I was married. And my husband used to have to do it, when we went out. Every day you had to have it on, but your muscles went.
Yeah.
Your muscles went after being in bed for 2 weeks.
So it's a good thing now, then, get you up and moving when you've given birth, yeah.
I am very lucky with I've got 5 great-grandchildren and 8 grandchildren, but when they've come out of the hospital... They've always sort of lost the baby weight within days, not weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, Katie was got in the jeans as she's size 8, and she's still got in her jeans. In about a week.
Wow.
I know, I can't believe it, but I think it's your jeans, to be fair.
Do you know what, Janet? I bet you were there waiting with that girdle, weren't you? Thinking, come on, get this on you, girl. Where's the boned cord? Oh, you don't need it, look.
Well, they used to call them staves in them days. You're none now. your mum or your nan would know.
Well...
but they wear a corset. Like you see on telly now with these bridal dresses, how they pull the strings at the back.
Yeah.
And you used to have to breathe in, but it was horrible breathing out.
It must have been, actually getting into these things and being strapped and laced into them. How did you sit down and...
No, you didn't have to get in them.
No,
that was like a big concertina.
When they pulled the laces up at the back. Yeah.
And there was all looking eyes on.
Oh, my word.
At the front, you hooked and eyed them at the front, and then they used to have to pull you tight at the back.
Oh, my word.
Oh, my God, I couldn't wear one now.
Do you know what? I might try one just for a laugh, Janet, just to see what it's like.
Funny now.
Oh, do you know, they're probably a fashion statement now, though, aren't they?
Exactly. I bet they're worth a lot of money, but, of course, you'd only have one, and you had to wear that, like, for a few months.
Goodness gracious.
You never still got your figure back.
Well, listen, Janet, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Do talk to me again. All right, my love.
Thank you.
Look after yourself now. Bye-bye. I wonder if anybody has still got one of those staiths, as they're called. Give me a call if you have. 08453 009956. Now, Mavis is in Coventry. Hi, Mavis.
Hello.
Hello, Mavis. Goodness gracious me. I'm cringing at
laughing, actually.
Oh, my word. Can you think of that being pulled into shape? Oh,
Well, I didn't need to. I was 7 stone 12. Well, by the time I got the baby, I was a bit fatter than that. But I didn't wear anything. I lost weight as soon as I got up around. I had 2 boys.
Right.
2 years, 3 months between them. And keep looking after those two when they were growing up, because they ate like blimmin' horses. I hadn't got enough milk for them, so they were on solids pretty quickly. And they're 6-footers now, I might add.
Wow.
But no, I didn't wear anything. I mean, obviously, I must admit the maternity wear the girls wear these days, if they wear it, is a darn sight prettier than I had.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm 87, but I'm still slim, and I lost weight by looking at the wall. I think it just went off me.
Well, do you know what? There's going to be people listening now, Mavis, thinking, well, why couldn't that have happened to me?
Well, I'm very sorry, but it just did. Mind you, my husband was over 6 foot, and my doctor's idea was as soon as you get up and get about, take the baby out in the pram and get walking.
Yeah.
And you'll lose the weight.
Absolutely. Well, it seemed to work for you, obviously, then. But, were you pregnant? Because my friend was pregnant last year, and she couldn't wait to have a bit of a bump so she could show everybody.
Well, yeah, I mean, I was very proud of it, because, I mean, being only 7 stone 12, and I was thin as a rake. I'm still thin now. But the fact was, I was proud that I'd got a bump.
Yes.
And everybody else was, sort of, where's that come from? I said, well, you better look at him.
Mavis, what a lovely, lovely call. Listen, a delight to talk to you. Thanks for coming on.
All right, then. Bye.
Thank you, Mavis in Coventry. Oh, bless. Listen, have you felt pressured to lose your baby weight? Or like Mavis, did it go just like that? Give me a call, 08453 009956.
The great historian William Hutton said, "Before I came to Birmingham, I was in a world where people were asleep. But now I see men walking along the street with fire in their souls."
People are very down to earth.
Different people, different backgrounds.
If you're a little bit weird, that's okay.
It's an interesting place, and it's got a lot of history.
You can go anywhere around the world, but you can't beat this place.
Sound is the pound.
Perry Beaches,
Castle Vale, West Bromwich,
Solihull, Walsall,
Coleshill, Wolverhampton,
Dudley, Camp Hill,
Cannock,
Tamworth, Jewellery Quarter,
Hockley,
Yardley,
Sutton, Coalfield,
Tipton, Redditch,
Bilston,
Blackheath,
Sheldon, Acocks Green.
BBC WM.
Your radio station, it's your show.
We're the voice of Birmingham and the Black Country.
Breaking news from down your road.
Scandals in your postal code, crime, corruption,
Train disruption.
just because it nearly snowed.
Passion callers vent their spleen.
Live reporters on the scene.
Email.
Text.
Have your say.
More on that throughout the day.
Weekday mornings.
Big debates. Opinions to articulate.
Afternoons, fun and chat.
Place and tunes.
Chew the fat.
Guests and personalities
From all of our communities.
If you love
Where you live.
It's you we should be talking with.
Roberto, Ajwani, Lola, good morning.
Good morning.
You are one of the most incredible people that I have ever spoken to.
Pandas are overrated in my opinion.
Jay has texted in, man up, you big girl's blouse.
Scores! Inside stoppage time!
Baggies,
Villa, Wolves, Blues.
Tamworth, Walsall, football news,
Signing, sackings,
gossip, rumour,
and exclusive interviews.
phone-ins, rantings. Back the board. Did you see the one he scored?
Call now.
Do your best
To get that offside off your chest.
Live matches from the ground. Commentaries with perfect sound. Every goal and every save.
On FM, not just medium wave.
Paul, this is my club with a laughing stock.
Everybody in the community is pulling together to get this done.
If you drive in the middle lane, what goes on in your head?
The idea that I am under orders.
So if you've struggled hard to find
Radio to feed your mind.
Can we now suggest that you
Stick with what you're listening to.
presenters with something to say,
Characters from down your way. Not just
A DJ,
playing boring songs all day,
entertainment. Proper news.
friendly voices,
Local views.
stories from your local patch.
Action from your local match. Fun and personality.
From your local BBC. 95.
0.6 FM BBC WM.
The voice.
The voice.
The voice.
The voice.
The voice.
The voice of Birmingham and the Black Country. BBC WM 95.6.
I love that. The more I listen to it, the more I love it. And there's a little video that goes with it. Check it out. It's at bbc.co.uk/WM Anthem. All right, go and have a look. bbc.co.uk/BBC WM Anthem, and go and let us know what you think to it. Right, it's Lunch with Caroline Martin. I'm here until 2, and then Danny, he's back this afternoon between 2 and 4. I'll tell you in a while what he's talking about. But we've got the news headlines on the way after Chaka Khan. I'm Every Woman. It's Lunch with Caroline Martin, 1:29, BBC WM 95.6. Let's look at the roads with Liz.
Thank you, Caroline. The M40 going north now still has a lane shut because of barrier repairs being carried out in lane 3. They were damaged in an accident yesterday morning. Between 15 and 16, that's the Henley turn to the Warwick turn up to the Henley interchange. Traffic's coping okay passing the scene, and the lane that was closed on the southbound side has reopened. So you head to Pensnet. The High Street is partially blocked both ways, rather slow because of an accident involving a bus and a car near the Chippy and the junction with High Oak, the B4179. Through Spark Hill is struggling, the A34 looking very slow around there. Heavy through Kings Heath still on the A435, and slowing up now through Sheldon on the A45 towards the Wheatsheaf. It's also still quite sticky as you make your way around Bawdsley Circus. Through Dudley on the A461, that's still looking busy as well as you head between Scott's Green Island, Cinderbank Island and through towards the Prawn Island as well. And in Hagley it's very slow in the roadworks on the A456 near to the junction with Worcester Road. Temporary lights there. If you can update us, call BBC WM 95.6 Travel 08453 002288.
Thank you very much, Liz. Right, how hard is it to rebuild the relationship between a parent and a child if there's been a big row, a lack of communication or animosity between the two? Still taking your calls on that. Going to talk to some more of you after the news headlines with Joe Tidman.
The voice of Birmingham and the Black Country.
BBC WM 95.6.
A Walsall woman's been found guilty of asking a former neighbour to kill her partner. Wolverhampton Crown Court heard 40-year-old Kelly Cliff, who's from Aldridge, had had numerous affairs and wanted Carl Gallagher dead. Soldiers from an undercover unit used by the British Army in Northern Ireland killed unarmed civilians, according to former members who've spoken to the BBC. Ex-members of the Military Reaction Force, or MRF, say they were tasked with hunting down IRA members in Belfast in the early 1970s. It's emerged Birmingham City Council spending £1.2 million for a new website for the new library. It's part of their contract with Service Birmingham, but some IT experts and bloggers are criticising the cost, as it'll also cost £190,000 a year to run. And the BBC is bringing around 80 jobs to its regional headquarters in Birmingham's mailbox. Over the last few years, some programme making has moved out of the city to places like Bristol, while a lot of national programming is now made in Salford. Looking at the sport then, well, Stuart Broad took 5 wickets as England restricted Australia to 273 for 8 at stumps on day 1 of the first Ashes test in Brisbane. James Anderson and Chris Tremlett took the other wickets as the hosts were reduced to 132 for 6 at one stage. In football, West Bromwich Albion are in constructive talks with Saido Berahino over a new contract. The 20-year-old has been one of the breakthrough stars of the Premier League season, and the Baggies are keen to tie him down to a new long-term deal. His current contract runs out at the end of the season, although the Baggies do have the option of extending it for another year. Walsall manager Dean Smith has no injury concerns ahead of Saturday's League One trip to Crawley Town. He could make one change to the side that beat Peterborough 2-0 on Monday night, with Nicky Featherstone brought in to bolster midfield at the expense of the more attack-minded Romain Sawyers. And Birmingham City ladies have been paired with Arsenal in the quarter-finals of the Women's UEFA Champions League. Blues will be at home in the first leg towards the end of March. Taking a look at the weather, well, cold with some sunny spells today. There could be some showers with highs reaching 8 degrees Celsius. That's 46 degrees Fahrenheit.
The voice. The voice. The voice of Birmingham and the Black Country. BBC WM 95.6.
Good afternoon, it's Lunch with Caroline Martin. With you until 2, Danny Kelly is here from 2 o'clock, and he's going to be talking this afternoon about a local council that plans to ban spitting in the street, but how will they police it? Also, he'll speak to a woman locked up in horrendous conditions abroad, and you'll be shocked when you find out where. And the American who believes he can prove that reincarnation exists. My son will be longing to hear that phone in. We had a conversation about that on Saturday night that went on for hours and hours and hours. He's only 13 and he's been learning about this in RE at school, so we had to have this in-depth conversation about it. And I know that he'll be listening to Danny with interest because he's having his brace fitted today, bless him, so therefore he won't be at school this afternoon because he's just had that done and he's not looking forward to it. He's dreading it and he's like, will I faint? My friend fainted, am I going to be all right? I'm like, Jude, I'm sure that it will be fine. He'll be absolutely fine, but we shall see. But that's all coming up with Danny from 2 o'clock here on BBC WM. But I am asking now how hard it is to rebuild the relationship between a parent and a child if there's been a big row, lack of communication or animosity between the two. Can you do it? Let's get a chat with Stephen in Solihull. Hi, Stephen. Hello, Stephen. Good to talk to you this afternoon. So, you had a bit of a situation with your dad, I understand.
Yeah, I didn't see him since I was 4. He and my mum split up, and I went into care. I was in care until I was 16, and then I defined him. And now we always see each other. He's a pastor, so we work together. Yeah.
So, you didn't see him for all those years, but obviously you knew that he was still out there. So what made you go find him again? What brought that on, Stephen?
I started seeing my mum, but after speaking to my mum, she started blaming everything. I did my mum, so I wanted to actually get my dad's side of the story of what happened when I was younger. And my mum used to slag my dad all the time.
Stephen, hold on a sec there, my love. We're going to get you back in a bit on a clearer line, OK? Because you're cutting out. Let me chat to Bill in Northfield. Hi, Bill.
Hi, Caroline.
Hello, Bill. So...
yes, well, you're talking about children and everything else. My wife left I had 3 children by her. She took one and left the other 2, and they were only 3 and 2-year-old, and the other one was a year-old, you know? Took the youngest one and left the 2 eldest ones. And I brought them up there all the time. I used to buy them presents for 2 Christmas and everything else, and say they were from their mum. You know, so they never ever knew that they weren't. They did think they actually come from a mum. Now, when my youngest son got to know us, and that was ages ago, I've never seen him since. I've seen him once, and apparently she poisoned him against me.
So all this that you'd done to make sure that there was no bad blood between the mum and your 2 that you were looking after, she, repaid you by poisoning your other son against you.
That's right, yeah. I've seen him, he came to my house once, and then I've not seen him since, and that was about 3 years ago.
Goodness gracious.
And she got remarried. She married somebody who was wealthy, had houses, and moved to Cyprus, but still never sent a present, not one present to my children, nothing. And what she had, when my daughter did get to know her and talk to her, because she went out to Cyprus, she found out where she was. And because my daughter had an accident, she got run over, and her mother turned around and said, "Oh, well, I phoned the hospital every day." She said, "Did you?" She said, "Yes." She said, "I phoned Sally Oak Hospital." "Oh, did you?" She said, "That's funny." She said, "Because I was in Birmingham Accident Hospital."
Oh, no.
So she said, anyway, she found those out, and apparently my daughter turned around and says to me, "We had the best of it, Dad, anyway. You know, you was a good dad." She really poisoned him. She said to her, "I suppose he didn't let you write, didn't phone, won't let you." She said, "No, then your address was on the side, your telephone number was there, and everything else. I could have wrote to you any time I liked." But she said, "Don't badmouth Dad." She said, "Because he never ever badmouthed you, you know."
Do you know what? You sound like an absolute diamond of a man, Bill. You really, really do.
But, well, if I went in through my life, I'll take the whole of your programme up. And I can't do that.
But, Bill, so, I mean, how do you feel about not seeing the youngest one and not having anything to do with him? I mean, that must be sad.
Oh, it is sad. But, as you say, it follows on. Because my son now has never seen his son. And I've only just got to see my grandson for the first time since he was 2 years old.
Right.
And it follows on. It happens. You know, it goes, you know, I don't know why, but it's followed on to my son. And my son didn't see his son and everything else.
So did the mother take the boy away then?
Well, she married somebody else.
Right.
Yeah. And apparently he wasn't a good father to him anyway. His stepfather wasn't. Well, what I hear anyway. But there we are. You know, it's, you know, I'm not going to say what he was cruel. Actually, he was cruel, really cruel.
Well, listen, Bill, I'm glad that well, they seem to be well-rounded children that think the world of you, so that's the main thing. It's sad that you lost contact with that child, but you've come out of it the better person, Bill.
Oh, I am. I think so, yes. I think I have. I think I have, because I think that the ones that I have got, my youngest daughter, she absolutely idolises me.
Aww.
And well, I know that because I've been ill and I've been in hospital with heart attack and everything else, and goodness knows what, just like recently. And my granddaughter from her, she only had one, absolutely beautiful she is, you know, and she idolises me as well.
There you go. Look, you are loved,
I'll come
Bill.
out the best anyway.
Exactly, you did. She got that spot on. Listen, lovely talking to you. I'm sure, with all your tales, that we will talk to you again very soon. All right. Take care, Bill. Look after yourself, darling. Take care now. Bye-bye. There's Bill in Northfield. Right, let's go back to Stephen in Solihull. Have we got you on a clearer line now, Stephen?
Yeah, you're right.
Excellent, brilliant. Okay, right. So the story was that you were put into care then, and then you went to find your dad at a later date. So pick it up from there and how that came about.
Yeah, I asked social services to find my dad, and they did. I found him. He started seeing me at the children's home I was in, and after a while, I left the children's home and started living on my own. And then I started going to my dad's. Seeing him, kind of, he tells me about the past and stuff, but he never says, "Oh, it was your mum." Whereas my mum would always say it was my dad. It's find out for yourself. There's other members of the family that tell me anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, we argue a lot, but it's just part of the bonding, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. And how do you feel about those years when you were apart?
I'm not sure. Well, when I was younger, I hated my parents, obviously, because I didn't know anything about anything, what happened. So I kind of got hating them. I didn't want to know them. I was in a foster family for quite a while, about 5 years, and I considered them as my mum and dad. But I mean, after a while, I mean, I do get on with him. It's just that we argue a lot, but it's one of them. It's better than not having any family, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's a father-son thing then, isn't it? I guess that there's kind of like a lot still to come out after all the time that you spent apart. And it's like one of our previous callers says, it's that getting to know you process all over again, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we haven't really got a father and son relationship. It's more like a friend relationship.
Yeah.
It's very different to how you consider a father to do with his son. We'll talk about anything. We'll share everything together. We'll tell each other everything. It's not like a father-son relationship at all. But do you feel all the better for having him back in your life? Yeah, of course. I mean, it's not nice to not have a family, is it?
No.
I mean, I've got a girlfriend. She's wonderful. She helps me out. When I'm upset or when I'm struggling and stuff, she'll be there for me. But I mean, other than that, I had no one. So, I mean, I've got my dad now, haven't I?
Absolutely, and that sums it up, doesn't it, Stephen? And you say you work with your dad. You're plasterers.
Yeah, well, my dad's got his own company, Barney's Plastering, Decorating. I'll come to work with him when I'm not busy. I've had a few jobs. I'm trying to be a chef at the moment. I've done a few courses and stuff, so that's my plan for the future. But for now, I'm just working with my dad. He's teaching me how to plaster. It's always good to know a trade. So. Oh, that is a good trade to know. I tell you, that really is. I couldn't do that, though. That goes on so smooth. That's an art. That's a craft. That really is. No, your dad, his name is John, isn't it? Yeah, he is.
I mean, can we have a word with him? Is he there now with you? Are you plastering now?
Yeah, we've just mixed with some plaster. I'll pass you on. I'll take over.
Thank you very much. Yeah, don't let it go off and set. That would be unfortunate.
Yeah, I know.
Good to talk to you, Stephen. Thank you, darling. Have a good afternoon. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Let's get a chat to John then, Stephen's dad.
Hi.
Hello, John. Listen, nice to talk to you this afternoon. So we've heard the story from Stephen, and from your point of view, what's it been like, getting to know this son all over again?
It's been great. It's been a challenge, But the thing is, he knows I love him to bits. We do argue, but over the stupidest thing, I might be putting plaster on the wall and they say, "What is it like this, Dad?" So that's what the arguments are about. Stuff like that, silly things, really. But I'm glad he's in my life, and I'm going to try and put him on the right road.
Well, it sounds like you're doing a very good job already, Johnny. Seems to be kind of like well-grounded there, to be fair. How do you feel about those years that you spent apart?
Well, I knew I'd see him one day. I knew he'd come looking for me, or I'd come looking for him.
Yeah.
So I knew it was inevitable, that he'd come. So I just carried on with life. I mean, at the time, I had nowhere to live. I built myself up. I've got a business and got a nice house, So, like I say, the thing is, I'm happy. I'm happy that I've met him. All the years that I missed, obviously there's regrets, but what can I do? I couldn't stay there.
Well, listen, you seem to be making a good headway with it all now, and I wish the both of you, John and Stephen, lots of happiness in the future. Just teach him how to do the plastering right, because it is an art form. John, it is. You've got to get it on just right, haven't you, love?
That's right, yeah.
Listen, good to talk to you this afternoon. We'll let you go on before that plaster sets, and thank you very much for your call. It's BBC WM 95.6, even. I've still got to... I think that's on my mind, that word, because of a text that I've just read, OK? That's the only reason. And I'll read that to you in a bit. And also I'm going to talk to Helen in Stafford and Brian in Sutton Coldfield. Honestly, some of the things that gets texted to me, I tell you, filth, isn't it? Absolute filth. Right, Danny has just entered the room as well, so we'll get a chat with him in a bit too after the Spencer Davis group. This is Keep On Running.
Keep on running. One fine day I'm gonna be the one to make you understand. Oh yeah, I'm gonna be your man. Keep on running, running from my arms. One fine day I'm gonna be the one to make you understand. Oh yeah, I'm gonna be your man. About me, it makes me feel so bad. Everyone is laughing at me. It makes me feel so sad. So keep on running. Hey, hey. All right. Yeah. Keep on running. Be your man. Hey, come on. Make me feel so good. I wanna be your man. All right. Come on, baby. I wanna be your man. Well, no, you make me feel so good.
Spencer Davis Group, keep on running. It's BBC WM 95.6 Lunch with Caroline Martin. Now, we were talking earlier, weren't we, about these new Spanx that you get for when you're pregnant. Mama Spanx. They apparently make you look trim while you've got a bit of a bump there. And then we moved on to corsets and so on and so forth. And I got a little message from Cal in Chelmsley Wood who said, Caroline, in the 60s, I wore a suspender belt. I lost one of the rubber buttons, so I used a sixpence. I went out with my friend to the school leaving party. On the bus, the fare had gone up, so I asked the conductor to turn away so I could retrieve my safety sixpence to pay my fare. I had to walk around holding my stocking up until a teacher could find me a button to use. Talk about embarrassing. Look, I can just imagine you now. Look, I've got a vision, Cal. And I just Sue in Chelmsley Wood who says, Caroline, you should get a basket and stockings and give Adam a treat. Who says he doesn't get it all the time, Sue? A treat, you know? Well, maybe not then. OK, but thank you for your suggestion. I'm sure that he'll like that particular one. Right, Helen in Stafford, Brian in Sutton. Sutton Coldfield. I'm coming to you next.
Pete Morgan at breakfast.
Waking up Birmingham and the Black Country.
On Thursday's breakfast show, we heard your hospital experiences after a report said New Cross was short of staff.
It was my husband's birthday yesterday. He's broken his neck. He was taken to Sandwell Hospital. They could not have been kinder.
And listener Mike from Wolverhampton decided he is going to have a DNA test to find out if his son really is his son. Have you made a decision?
I'm going to go forward for the DNA test. I have to do for peace of mind.
On Friday's programme from 6, Doctor Who is 50 on Saturday. MPs say it's the best of the BBC. Are they right?
Pete Morgan at breakfast.
Weekdays from 6.
On BBC WM
95.6.
Do you know what that said? There's no getting near Adam at the minute because the Ashes has started, hasn't it? So that's him, settles and watching that all night long. So lovely, lovely. How long does it last for? Doesn't it get cricket? There's no more boring a game than cricket, is there? It just, even darts. I got roped into that at the weekend and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought that was pretty fantastic. But cricket, oh my goodness. I would really rather go and watch John and Stephen's Plaster Dry, who we were just talking to, than watch the cricket, to be honest. Helen is in Stafford. Hi, Helen.
Hi, Caroline. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Listen, nice to talk to you this afternoon. So you're coming on to talk about, well, we've been talking about the relationship between father and also sons and daughters breaking down, and can you retrieve it? And you're saying, why do people blame the mum?
Absolutely. I mean, why is it if when you hear a story about a mother walking out and a father having to take over, why do you blame the mother? You know, I'm a mother of 4, you're a mother of 5, but why do you blame... Both parents have maternal instincts, and I think the mothers have a really hard problem with this.
I think that I can only go on the cases that we've heard today, all right, and talking about the stories that we've had today. In a lot of these cases, the splits have come about between the partners and the mums have turned, and it does happen. We may not like it and we may think, well, we'd never do it, but the fact is that the mums have become quite poisonous. Do you know what I mean? And so therefore they've almost poisoned the children against the dad and stopped them from seeing them. There are situations where the dad goes off with somebody else, has a new family, forgets about his last one, and that's it. Job's done. He's moved on, and they're left to pick up the pieces. But in some situations, and it seems to have happened this afternoon on some of the stories, it does seem that the children are almost used as pawns in this game, and they're the ones that suffer in the end.
I totally agree with that completely. But what you have is where the situation changes. A father can walk out, and no one actually says anything about that. If a mother walks out, everyone poisons her.
Yeah, but if the mother is walking out, in fairness, to some of the calls that we've had, and again, this is about the calls that we've had, if the mother walks out and then has nothing further to do with those children and doesn't keep in touch, doesn't send them birthday cards or Christmas cards...
Oh, I heard that.
That is pretty harsh. And yeah, of course, there are going to be marriages where the woman cannot stay for whatever reason, whether, it could be domestic violence, it could be just because she doesn't love him anymore. And she does walk out, and yeah, they do get a bit of a bad rap. But the fact of the matter is, I think in the stories that we've heard, it's not good, is it, when one is poisoning the mind of the children against the parent? And think of the damage that it does to both. You're not just hurting your ex-partner. Ultimately, one day, long term, you're hurting your children.
You never bring your children into it.
Well, you shouldn't do, but people do.
But if there's a marriage breakup
and
there's children involved, you have to be equilateral.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to say is that if a mother leaves, she's always the one. If a man leaves, that's fine. If a father leaves, that's okay. And everyone says, oh, great, he's gone. But you have to have an equilibrium of this, sorry. But whoever's out there listening, never let your children down. If you've got a marriage breakup, that's fine. That's between two adults. It's not between children.
No, I think that is a good point to make, Helen, and it is something that we should all bear in mind because, as we've learned in other shows, it can go on into adulthood, can't it, the effects of a marriage breakup. But listen, good to talk to you, Helen. I've got to get to Brian and also Matt as well because they've been holding on for a while. Hi to Brian, Sutton Coldfield. Good afternoon, Brian.
Hello, Caroline.
Hello. Now, you haven't seen your son in 15 years.
15 years. I had it, but I'll tell you what happened. 15 years ago, I had a phone call on Boxing Day that my son had tried to commit suicide because he got involved with a lady with 5 kids and she kicked him out. I went to see him, which I didn't know whether I should go to see him because I hadn't seen him for 2 I had talked to other people and they said, whatever your heart thinks, you go. So I went to see him. He sat on one side of the settee and I sat on the other. He said, what have you come for? I said, well, I believe you've got a problem. He said, well, I can sort it. So I give him £40. I dropped him off at Docksea, which is Stafford, and I've never seen him since.
And how does that make you feel?
Well, Caroline, the thing is, I had a very good relation. I divorced his mum, right? But whether his mum's poisoned him against me, I don't know. He went in the army, and whether I just don't know, Caroline, I don't know. I've never done anything. I mean, he had everything. I mean, he had old clothes, he had motorbikes, did motocrossing. I spent a fortune on him, which you do, as you know. But so he never wanted for anything. You know what I mean?
But did he want for you?
Well, I don't know. We were very close, so we go fishing. And all of a sudden, when he went in the army, and I'll tell you one thing he did do. I rung Whittingham Barracks to see if I could find him, and it's a terrible thing I'm going to say. He said, if I see it outside, I'll blow it away. So that's that. So I just don't know whether somebody poisoned his mind. I don't know.
It sounds like it, doesn't it? Because for that to have come out of the blue. But aren't you curious to find out? I mean,
I would like to find out. Yeah. But I don't know. I'm going to find out. I mean, whether I find his mother, where she'll tell me, I don't know.
It's got to be worth the try, hasn't it?
Yeah, I might. Well, I know they lived at just outside Roseley, which is Little Hayward.
Right.
But whether she's still there, I don't know.
Well, listen, Brian, hold on there, and I'm going to pass you back to Tash because she might give you some details of where you can get some help from. All right. And let us know if you sort it. I've got to go to Matt in Tamworth quickly because he's been holding on. Hi, Matt.
How you doing?
Hello, Matt. Good to talk to you. What's happened with you? You struggled to see your son?
I see him now. I struggled for about 4 or 5 years to get access to him. Cost me a lot of money through the courts. We'd found along the way as well that she changed his surname and double-barreled it. But I think when a marriage or a relationship splits up, there should be a law that states that if there's children involved, that person who gets custody of the children has a duty to give the other parents access to the children, and not anybody should have to fight through the courts to see the children. Obviously, there's people out there who have to leave relationships because of violence and stuff like that. Okay, if it's proven against the other partner, then obviously that's when the law has to step in. But if it's a relationship where they've just split up and that's it, no violence, no nothing involved, then that other parent has a duty to let that other parent see their child and not use the child as a pawn. And I'll tell you something now. I mean, Kafkas, who we got involved with, what an absolute waste of time they are. Because, my son was five or six, and they're saying, we have to take into consideration what the child wants. And my child was going to Kafka saying, well, I don't want to go on this day, I don't want to go on that day, I don't want to go. And Kafka's saying, well, that's what he wants. Well, how can a 6-year-old make that sort of decision without it being put in his head?
Yeah, there is the argument that he could have been influenced.
Well, to be fair, last week when I had my son, he said we were talking about this and all this, and he said, I said, how come I didn't come and see you and stuff like that? I said, well, it's because your mum, made you say things and he knows now. He's at the age where he's looking back and he's thinking, yeah, my mum did told me to do this, told me to say that.
But Matt, all you can do now is to move forward and enjoy the time that you have with him, and be a good dad. And thank goodness you've got him back in your life again.
Can I just say one thing to any parents who's out there who's going through this? Don't ever stop, because if you stop, when they get to a certain age, they'll look back and they'll say, well, I don't need you anymore. But just don't stop. Don't give up. Don't give up fighting to see your flesh and blood. And you know, when my problem started as well was when another man came on the scene.
Yeah,
and
we've heard that quite a bit. Matt, I've got to let you go, my darling, because I've run out of time. But thank you for coming on. That's Matt in Tamworth. Some amazing calls again this afternoon. Listen, thank you so much for those calls.